Good morning, friends. Welcome to the Monday morning quiz number 24, dated the 2nd May 2022. The topic for today's quiz will be on attribute R&R, attribute gauge R&R study, popularly known as the Kappa study. So that will be the topic for today's quiz. Okay, so let me move on to the next slide to share the questions for quiz MMQ-24. Okay, so this is the observations that we have for a repeatability study of an appraiser Ramesh. So there were 5 samples, typically something like a visual inspection. There were 5 samples, and these are the observations on trial 1 and trial 2. Where a number 1 indicates that it is an okay part and a number 0 indicates that it's a not okay part. Okay, so these are the observations. So the first question is, based on this, you need to calculate the kappa value for appraiser Ramesh, the repeatability kappa. It's the same appraiser doing it twice, trial 1 and trial 2. So we are interested to know what's the repeatability kappa based on this observation. So that is question number 1. Okay, some simple calculations to do. Okay, so I'm sure some of you will be familiar with the calculations involved in estimating the attribute agreement index kappa, right? So that's the first question. It's just to make it comfortable, we have limited the number of samples to just 5, so that you get it's easier for you to calculate. So that's the purpose, right? So that follow the steps, get the kappa value. So this the Google form. In the Google form, you just have to enter the value of kappa. So what value you got? That's question number 1. Question number 2 is an interesting question. Similar to the calculations and all that. So we need to calculate the repeatability kappa of 2 appraisers here. So there are 2 appraisers. Okay, so you have appraiser Ramesh and appraiser Suresh. So there are 2 appraisers, and their observed agreements are mentioned here. So these are the 2 tables that you have. So you need to calculate individually the repeatability kappa of Ramesh and the repeatability kappa of Suresh. And based on the answers that you get, you need to also tell us who is more consistent in this visual inspection process. Who is more consistent among the 2, who is better, right? So in this Google form, you need to actually mention the kappa value of Ramesh, the kappa value of Suresh, and also declare who, in your opinion, is more consistent based on the kappa values, right? So that's question number 2. Some more math to do and then some interpretation. Moving on to the third question. So here what we have done is we have actually given you the kappa values also. So again, 2 studies of repeatability. So we have appraiser Raj and appraiser Dev. So the appraisers, the 2 appraisers, their table, the kappa tables, and the observed agreement and the expected agreements, and also the kappa values are also mentioned. And based on this study, based on this attribute gauge R&R study, Raj was declared more consistent than Dev based on the kappa value. Okay, so that decision was already made in this organization based on this kappa study. However, this is not valid statistically. Okay, this decision is actually whatever they have taken is not valid statistically, right? So the third question is, why do we say this? Why do we feel that this is not valid statistically? So this will be a descriptive answer, maybe a 1 or 2 line answer. Of course, the description is very straightforward in our opinion, but nevertheless, think about it. So as always, MMQ is all about, not just calculating kappa. It's about how do we interpret based on the kappa. So where are we likely to go wrong? This is a very common mistake that I see in many organizations when they take decisions based on the kappa values. So in this third question is more towards, the first two questions are pretty straightforward, where you calculate and you make a decision. Third question is we go in depth to test your understanding. Well, on the basis of the numbers, we declare Raj is more consistent, but this is not valid statistically. Why this is not valid statistically is the question that you need to answer. Maybe briefly, one or two sentences in the Google form. There are space available for that. And these are the three questions that you need to submit and before the following Monday, and based on which the results will be announced, right? So now moving on to the next part of this video, which is the explanation of the previous quiz, MMQ-23, which was on scatter plot and regression, right? So the question that we asked on 18th of April 2022 was, identify the simple linear regression equation from the below list pertaining to scatter plot B. So there are two scatter plots that were given. So the idea was, and there were two equations that were mentioned, one highlighted with red, another highlighted with green. The right answer is actually the equation that is highlighted red, which pertains to plot B. Primarily because, by the look of the regression line, you'll know the slope is higher there. And if you look at the equation, y is equal to ax plus b, or during school days, we used to say y is equal to mx plus c. So that, m or a refers to the slope. So if you look at the equation highlighted in red, the slope value m is actually higher. So scatter plot B pertains to the red color highlighted equation, because that's compared to the two equations, the slope is higher in the red one. So the slope value is 0.095 for the red and 0.049 for the green. So scatter plot B is, the equation pertaining to scatter plot B is the one that is highlighted in red. So that's the right answer. Trying to interpret the math and the picture. That's what it's all about in this question. Moving on to the second question, which scatter plot will have a higher coefficient of determination or an R-square value? Well, R-square, I suppose, as you know, depends on how closer the plots are towards the regression line, and the closer the points, the R-square value tends to be higher. So if you look at these two, scatter plots, there are more points closer to the regression line in scatter plot B. So scatter plot B will obviously have a higher coefficient of determination is the right answer as compared to scatter plot A, right? Okay, so a coefficient of determination of greater than 75 is actually considered to be good. But in this case, of the two, which one has a higher coefficient of determination? Certainly scatter plot B appears to be will have a higher R-square value is the answer. So the correct answer is scatter plot B. And moving on to the third question, identify the residual normality plot from the below list that pertains to scatter plot A. So for these two scatter plots, we also got the normal probability plots output from Minitab, and it was pasted here. So if you look at this, there was one highlighted with red and the one highlighted with green. And the question was to find out which of these pertains to scatter plot A. Okay, the one highlighted in green pertains to scatter plot A, because, if you look at the points that are scattered, it looks, that there is some, non-normal patterns that you can get. So scatter plot A, the corresponding normal probability plot could be, will be the one that is highlighted in green, which doesn't seem to be normally distributed. So one of the important assumptions that one has to do when they've set up a regression model is the residuals follow a normal distribution. So scatter plot B has a residual which is more or less following a normal distribution that was highlighted in red, whereas scatter plot A, the normal probability plot of the residuals do not follow a normal curve. So, if you look at, we have not highlighted the p-value, but it doesn't but the way in which the plot looks, it doesn't seem to be normal, which is one of the concerns when we do regression, right? So the right answer is the one that is highlighted in green. And the three gentlemen who got all these three answers right are Mr. Irappa Hunur, Head Quality of Varog Aurangabad, Mr. Jagdish Yu, Quality Manager of Praxar Coimbatore, Mr. M. Sendil Kumar, DGM Corporate Quality of Rani Brake Linings, Chennai. Now, interestingly, all three are, fantastic performers of MMQ, right? What I really appreciate about these guys are that I think almost any MMQ they try to attempt, and they've also been, winners in a few occasions. Jagdish, of course, has been a winner for more than 3 or 4 occasions, and so is Mr. Sendil Kumar, two to three, I think, and Nirappa also has been. So what do we see is, of course, we do see many people who are consistently, participating in MMQ. We also want more people to get in. Well, of course, I think, there is, I think we have to get out of this, the fear of failure phobia. I think that's what is probably, while I see many people going through these videos and viewing it, very few only get into responding it, So the number of views to response is not very, encouraging. So I actually, take, I think these are the champions. So we need to really, that's why I appreciate, individuals like these. So you need to be like them, that where, not every time they win, but they continuously, participate. And that's the whole spirit of MMQ. And, I'm also delighted to, as I announced in the previous edition, we will have a get together post MMQ-25. In fact, the next edition, I'm excited, that will be the 25th edition of MMQ. And once the results are announced for the 25th edition, we'll have a get together, a physical get together in Chennai, probably during the last week of this month. So we will inform all of you, and those who can make it, wonderful. Those who cannot, we'll definitely have an online option. And that is where your, your vouchers and certificates will be issued by a chief guest. So that's what is the plan for this. And then I'm excited when, it's 25th edition approaching. So request all of you to participate in this, while winning is good, but winning is not the only objective. And certainly the knowledge, especially on today's topic, kappa study, there's a lot of confusion in the market. And unless you roll up your sleeves and participate in quizzes like this, whether it is right or wrong, not a problem. At least the next week you'll know, what, based on the explanation, where are you going wrong, and refining your understanding. That's what is more important. The whole idea is refine and refine and refine your understanding. There's always, there's no end to learning. So don't worry about even if you get something wrong or right. So, refine your understanding so that you become a much better quality professional for your organization and for the nation. So with this, closing remarks, let me, wish you all the very best for your attempts of MMQ-24. And look forward to seeing you all in person. So the invitation for the get-together will be to all those who participated in all the editions of MMQ so far. So we'll be soon meeting all of you in person and share your thoughts and feedback. And it'll be wonderful. Looking forward to all that. So with this, let me sign off for now. So bye for now. This is Nanda from PQSI for the Monday morning quiz. Thank you. See you soon.